Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being so patient. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys, it was a huge day for Tasha K, an incredibly huge day, but it was even a bigger day for Cardi B. Listen, Cardi B had her day in court and the evidence spoke for itself. Now, I have my opinion. Part of the evidence was Tasha K's lawyers being like, again, in my life, I've never seen such, in my opinion, ineffective counsel. Even the weird things, I'm going to tell you about the weird things that happened in trial, right? But at the end of the day, Cardi B had the evidence. She had a rock solid team. They knew how to present it correctly. Cardi B presented herself to the jury correctly, and it all came together. It all came together. It all came together, and she had her day in court. You see, you guys, we don't have to sit there and play armchair quarterback about who's right, who's wrong. The courts literally decide, and they usually get, well, I don't want to say they usually get it right, but in this case, looks like they got it right, right? All the evidence was proved. Tasha admitted to most of it herself, right? Which was an issue. Now, you guys, there's a few things I want to go over before we start. In my last video, I know that we've had a lot of, well, who do I talk to first? I guess we'll talk to medical Twitter. Medical YouTube, that was in the comments about, that were in the comments about the fact that if you take a blood test, it shows all the time that you have herpes. You can, and everybody said use Google, but I was looking at everybody like I did use Google, and maybe you guys need to learn how to do your test. See, there's a medical standard and there's a legal standard. A legal standard, you have to have, since it's a civil trial, it needs to be clear and convincing. Beyond a reasonable doubt it's higher, but that's for criminal. Clear and convincing is for civil. As long as you can present doubt, even if it's a Hail Mary, you want that doubt in there. So yes, if we're talking about our own health, everybody go get tested. Everybody go, and you can pretty much rely on those tests. However, those tests have between an 80 and a 94% accuracy rate. On average, they have a 19%, somewhere between 13 and 19% false negative rate. Again, we are not talking if somebody is going to your clinic, medical YouTube. We are literally talking about if a defense attorney is trying to create reasonable doubt in the jury. If you know that you can argue that perhaps maybe there is a 13 to 19% chance that this test automatically gets a false negative. Why? And this was my question. Not whether she should take a test, not whether her results were wrong. No, you guys, listen, let's pull it back. This is legal. We are talking about like a game. What can you get away with? What can you present to get your thing? I don't understand all these people that act like people walk into a courtroom and say, I was dead wrong, punish me. Who would be dumb enough to do that? Honestly. And even the main people saying, well, she did it, so she deserves to pay. Yes, but our justice system is set up that everybody has the chance to defend themselves and mitigate. You guys don't have to get mad at the justice system because, as you see in this civil case, it worked, right? Everything you guys were saying and everything you guys were feeling, it came true. So I still don't understand that weird thing about the way people were getting so upset that facts that they didn't want to hear were being submitted. Because remember what I said when this first started, if something is true, you can test it, you can question it, you can throw rocks against it. The truth will get stronger and stronger and stronger. You don't ever have to worry about facts, right? Disrupting the truth. Those things, it doesn't happen. And as you see, her lawyers, Tasha K's lawyers, do everything they could to make it stick, and nothing stuck. I do question them from a defense because you guys think if I'm questioning from defense, I'm like on somebody's side. That's not it. You guys take the subjective out of it, right? And look at it objectively. Objectively, it's like a chess game, right? Okay. Objectively, if you were defending me and I knew there's a test that you're holding up, and I know that my adversary is holding up a test that could make me lose everything in my life, my defense lawyers better get up and get a medical expert, either through written testimony, right? Sworn, or have them on the stand. And I want my medical expert to say, yes, the test was positive. Yes, we have faith in the doctor. Yes, we do not believe that they forged the test. That's not our point. But we are saying in these type of tests, right? In these type of tests, sometimes there are false negatives. Do we know if it's happening right now? I don't know. Maybe they need to get retested. I don't know. Do we know? But we just need to let you know that you need to say that 13 or 17%. Now, here's the thing, right? Had she had other evidence, it's a weight of preponderance of evidence, right? The issue is, you know, a wall is made by bricks. The issue is that even when Tasha K and her defense team had a really good brick, it was like one brick and the whole wall needed to be built. Meanwhile, Cardi B's wall is like literally being built, it's being sealed off. They're putting like the grout and the crevices. So even when they got one or two good bricks, it wasn't enough because it's like, where's your wall? You need more than 3, 4, 5 bricks. But those little bricks, like, well, there's false negatives sometime. Put that in. Again, this is not medical YouTube. You better get out of here with that mess because, like, again, y'all need to learn to talk to people. That's why the profession is having problems right now. But all jokes aside, right? That would have been something that I would have wanted my defense attorney to submit. I would have paid private eyes and skip tracers it was proven. They said that Tasha K couldn't prove that she lived with Star Marie. I'm not Tasha K. I'm sorry. Cardi B and Star Marie. Tasha K could not prove that Star Marie lived with Cardi B, right? I would have hired everyone I could. I would have sent people out. I would have been literally like doing what I could to get someone. I would have been more aggressive in the strategy. Let's even look at these closing arguments. Again, justice has been served. But the lawyers were just like, I don't know. And Cardi B, I'm sorry, Tasha K, I keep confusing them, but y'all know what I'm saying. Tasha K issued a statement and it said, hold on. I have footage of her leaving the courthouse too. Lillie was there reporting. She got some footage about her leaving the courthouse. But Tasha K tweeted this saying, my husband, attorneys, and I fought really hard. I want to thank them for their long hours and sleepless nights. Winos, it's only up from here. See y'all in a few days. Back to work. Listen, she lost on all counts. All counts. Right now, remember I told you guys there's compensatory and there's punitive. Compensatory is to compensate you for the actual damages you had, like if you missed work or you lost the contract. Like they're real and they're tangible, and we can put an amount on it. What happened? I lost $40. Okay, here is $40. What else happened? Well, my shirt got torn up. That was $150. Okay, here's $150. What else? They are actual real costs. Punitive damages can be usually are 3 to 4 times more than compensatory, right? In some states, there's no cap, but usually it's around 3 or 4 times. It is solely to, one, punish you. So the court is like, don't ever do that dumb stuff again. And two, it serves as a lesson to everyone else watching, right? It serves as a lesson to everyone else watching, because if anybody sees you kind of get slapped on the hands and you go on your merry way, they're like, okay, well, why don't I do it? And then the next person wants to do it, and the next person. So it cautions those who are reckless, but it also serves to punish the person that did it so they never do it. Now, I do need to let you guys know, people are saying it can be between 5 and 10 million. I do know that usually what people do with that, a lot of lawsuits may be pointless judgments, in the way that she might get $1 million, she might get 2 million. But after that, lawsuits don't put you on the sidewalk. What happens is, at the very least, you never get any savings, which is bad enough, but most people live paycheck to paycheck. But they ask you, what are your home expenses? what are your transportation expenses? What are the expenses for your children, for the college, for this or that? They do a monthly budget, and then they say, okay, so when the monthly budget is done, anything left over is ours. Now, very crafty people and unscrupulous people pump up their monthly budget so that they make sure that at the end of the month, it's nothing left. It's like, okay, so we could have like a 4-bedroom house for 4,800, right? And then we can put the rest in savings. But since we have this big lawsuit bill, why don't we just get that 9-bedroom house? Yeah, the rent is 13,000, but it was just going to go to the court anyway. So you know what? Let's get that 9-bedroom house. You know? Why don't we buy? No, for what? Because the equity can be used in the judgment to seize. So you know what? Let's rent. And let's rent the 13-bedroom house because the money can't go in the bank. So you're basically just burning through money. Most people pay about maybe a quarter, a third, as much as they can, or as much as the courts think they can. And then they go into bankruptcy or their costs get inflated. But the thing is, they'll hold that judgment for the rest of their life. So if you ever win the lottery, if you ever come across some really big money, if the estate that ever gets sold, they can come into their judgment and they can get their money. So it doesn't go away. But again, she's not going to be sleeping on the street. I just want everybody to understand that, right? Justice is fair. It's punitive, but it's also fair, right? That said, that's what dealing with a normal person. Unfortunately for Tasha K, she does have an empire, right? She does have an empire because let's go through these charges because this is actually really, really important, right? Okay. So Kibi LLC was liable, right? The defamation, she already got awarded in compensatory damages for 1 million. They say Kibi Studios acted in bad faith. Kibi Studios was liable. Tasha K was liable, right? Lily's going to be on and she's going to let us know if the husband was liable. But at this point, they are looking at Tasha K and the entity as one and the same. Had they seen a separation, then they wouldn't have been able to go after hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay. So anyway, she goes after so anyway, we sorry. So anyway, we went after okay. So anyway, we have 1 million Kibi Studios and whatnot, right? Cardi's attorney, when it was time for her closing argument, she made a few arguments, right? She said Tasha admitted she had no evidence. Tasha said that she thought it was okay to publish info, even though she had no evidence that the info she was publishing was correct, right? Tasha K said herself she knew everything was fake. This was from videos that are still up on her channel. She knew everything was fake. Hold on, guys. One second. Okay. So, right? That proved actual malice. Actual malice is where you can show that I intended to hurt you, that I had no feeling that what was said was real, and I intended to actually hurt you. Listen, one more second. Okay. We also have, right? We also have admitted that admitted that Star Marie never showed her the evidence she said she had, right? Tasha K admitted that the beer bottle video was not Cardi B. Tasha also said, well, the lawyer said that Tasha had no proof that Cardi's husband cheated on her. She said Tasha said, unless you take me to court, I'm not taking the videos down. She said that she told Cardi that she would always put statements of Cardi out of her. She said Cardi would have to pay for removal, right? She admitted that she saw a 300% increase in clicks, views, and money. She also said she only did it for clicks, views, and money. She wanted Cardi B to pay her residual income too if she took it down. She said that she would always use the herpes B herpes B hashtag to draw views, ratings, and revenues, right? And she said she posted that statement calling her herpes B out of spite, right? She said that she would only take it down if she paid her. Now, listen, this right here, right? Listen. One second. Okay, so in any case, right? Those are what, one second. Okay, so that's what happened. But you guys need to realize with this, right? And this is where it comes down to Tasha K's legal advice, right? This is where it comes from, Tasha K's legal advice. When did she admit all this? She had to admit it on the stand, or she was going to perjure herself because she said it in the video. Now, here's my thing. I went back and I watched that video. To me, and this is just my opinion, right? Don't kill me. It looks like someone who is very prideful that is trying to apologize without apologizing. Like, remember when you were young and your moms or dads would like be out of order and they would do something to you and you would like be like, that wasn't right. And then the way they apologize to you is like by being real gruff, like, are you gonna come in to eat? What do you want for dinner? I feel like that was her very prideful way of apologizing. Her very prideful way of apologizing, right? For apologizing for what you in a prideful way. So you're trying to apologize, but you're not trying to apologize. You're basically trying to be like, so we cool, right? We cool, right? Right? Okay, fine. I lied about this. I lied about that. We cool, right? Now they did bring up Azalea Banks, right? They did bring up Azalea Banks. Tasha K's lawyers brought up Azalea Banks and said, well, Azalea Banks said horrible things about you. How come you're not suing her? To which the answer was what we all know. As soon as Cardi was like, yo, I'm suing, Azalea Banks, because she's a smart Gemini, was like, all right, I apologize. I really, really, really do, honest to God, apologize. I apologize, right? And because of that, Cardi B said, I'm not going to pursue it. Now, and here's the thing. They said Tasha K was actually served with a cease and desist order to pull that video down on September 19th, 2020. I'm sorry, September 19th, I believe 2019, February 28th, 2020, and October 2nd, 2020. And that is where she said, I believe in the last one, October, if I'm not mistaken, that her lawyer told her to wipe her butt with the restraining order. That is, if this lawyer actually exists and she wasn't just talking with bravado, that is some of the worst advice I can ever see happening. It's just the worst advice. Again, all Cardi B wanted, at least what she said she wanted, right? Maybe Tasha saw something we didn't, but from what we see, Cardi B wanted it removed and she wanted an apology. Now, how can we say that Cardi B was telling the truth and this wasn't some trick? Well, Azalea Banks said things even just as bad, I would imagine, as what Tasha K said. And Azalea Banks apologized and Cardi B called it even. So there is something to show that if she had just apologized, it would have been okay. right? But she didn't. Still, she persisted. And again, it's almost like so tragic. But you know what? I was watching Kelly Price. She was doing some. I was watching Kelly Price, and she was doing something about the R. Kelly situation. I'm gonna post a video on it. But she said, "What did you think about R. Kelly and the thing?" And she said, "You know what? I never saw that behavior from him, but I will say I believe where there's smoke, there's fire." And I believe there's smoke, fire. But then she said something really good that is about this case, right? When she says, when God gives you a reprieve, I'm paraphrasing, and you ignore it, next is destruction. She was saying when R. Kelly got acquitted that first time for the case, that was God giving him a reprieve to walk on the right course and to change his ways. And he still persisted, and it ran to his destruction. All those cease and desist orders are reprieves, and it ran to his destruction. Do you know what I'm saying? It ran to it ran to Tasha K's destruction. I'm still flipped out. I'm glad that Cardi B got her justice. I'm still just tripped out at how a legal defense team dropped the ball. And I know y'all are saying like, oh, I know that you guys are saying like, oh, you know, she's supposed to get in there and just admit she's guilty. Nobody in their right mind would do that. And yes, justice was served. The jury saw through all that. But the fact that the legal defense team literally were like little kittens, like, no, stop, leave Tasha alone. No, this is the way they were windmilling. All right, go ahead. She's right there. Go get her. We're asleep. We're bored. We're tired. It just shocks me that she didn't have bulldog lawyers protecting her, Rottweiler lawyers protecting her. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I can actually think about what these lawyers are, maybe because they're criminal lawyers, they're used to putting the squeeze on people and coming very, very aggressive and being like, we'll take you down. But they met a client that money was as long and deep as her grievance and beef with you. And Cardi B had the money, she had the time. And by the time, I mean she could hire a legal counsel. And she had the urge to make sure that you paid because everybody else apologized and blocked off. And Tasha became the focus of her anger, as well she should. Again, she said she was wanted to end herself from the earth. She said that she she said that she wanted to end herself from this earth. She said she couldn't do this. And again, I believe that. People are going around saying that they saw a video of you engaged in intimate relationships with a beer bottle. Of course, that's going to mess with people. And again, she had her day in court. Do you guys see how it didn't matter that you guys knew what the evidence was and knew what the facts was? Do you see how the truth can only help you in actually getting a just result? Do y'all see that, right? Y'all see that, right? I just want to make sure everybody sees it. Because I saw you guys in my comments, being like, but you guys see that the truth literally helped her case. And even with all those facts, the jury was smart enough to be like, okay, this is relevant. This isn't. Because at the end of the day, it's not for the average person to be like, that's irrelevant. You don't get to put that in there. Yeah, you can, anything the court takes, you should try to submit to defend yourself. But the jury is not stupid. The jury can sift through stuff. And the jury came out and said, none of this is relevant. They actually went on and said, you're not suing the husband. It's not relevant whether her husband cheated on her in the fact that they couldn't find proof that her husband cheated on her. Now, again, I feel like that's the defense attorneys not doing their job because we remember Cardi B and Offset broke up 3 times. And that's not to say that we can prove he cheated on her. Nobody. But the fact that you can't even bring circumstantial evidence in, this is not about protecting your fave. This is clearly put your feet and your body and your mind in the shoes of her defense attorneys. You had one job and y'all were just standing there like, counselor, your witness. That's all you can do. I literally, again, had that been me, I would have left. I already said everybody getting fired. At this point, If somebody happened like this to me, all y'all the ops. Listen, if I had an eyelash tech, she's getting fired. The maid's getting fired. I don't know who is the ops at this point. The lawyers, y'all been fired. Don't even talk to me on the way out the courthouse. Excuse me. Bill me for what's left. The driver, somebody, everyone's getting fired because at this point, I don't know who the ops is. But after I had a day like Tasha K did in a court, I'm like, something is way off. Somebody's the ops. Nope. Somebody not doing their job. Everybody getting fired, and I'll just rebuild. Because honestly, something is off. Now, listen, I'm not saying that it was the trial was fixed or something. I mean the fact of, I don't think that her defense team was advocating for her like they should have, right? No, listen, the Tasha K admitted the beer bottle person was, Tasha K admitted that on the video. And this is what the not sad, because at the end of the day, Tasha just had to humble herself. Tasha literally on her videos called herself apologizing to Cardi B, but not humbling herself. Apologizing like, yeah, okay, so I know it ain't you. I know it ain't this. I know it's that. All right, I just said it. Okay, let's move on. In her mind, I really do believe that was her way of squashing it I think that was her way of squashing it without actually humbling herself. And Cardi B wanted to humble her, and she wanted a public apology. Because, I mean, let's be real. The shit you said about her was public. So why wouldn't she want a public apology? So it makes sense, right? It's like, give the girl what she's due. Get the girl what she is owed. Humble yourself. Apologize. Say you were wrong. But in a real way. Instead, she did it on her videos, and Cardi B was like, no way. It's so funny. And we're about to bring Lillie on really quick. I will say that it's so not funny. Okay, it's funny, right? The judge told Tasha K a million times, you need to settle this case. This woman has more money than you. She is hurt. She is offended, rightfully so. She has been through some stuff, and she's saying it's because of you. She's even thinking about leaving this earth sometimes because of what you did and had people believing about her, right? And she tried to tell you. She tried to send cease and desist. She tried to tell you, right? So Tasha said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm right. But you know why? And I said this last time, and I will stand by this theory. I think that Tasha probably visited a few high-profile attorneys. And I think she showed them all the evidence. And she was like, yeah, we're going to get her. And you forget that the really, really expensive attorneys, they're in the habit of winning. They don't just take a case for the money because they don't want to lose, right? They do not want to lose. So what do they say? They probably looked at her evidence and they said, yeah, I mean, I see. Yes, right? But in our opinion, this is a very complicated case. The facts could not weigh in your favor because you have all this evidence that shows you confessing to the very crimes that they're accusing you of. So we would suggest you settle. We would suggest that we don't take this to court. At least we don't want to take it to court and settle. I think Tasha was like, she didn't want to hear that. So she went to the next attorneys and the next attorneys and the next attorneys. And then finally she found these attorneys that were like, yeah. Run it up. Yeah. Woo. By the end of it, you're going to be living in her mansion, right? You're going to be calling yourself Cardi K, right? You're going to take her name. I think they were like, yeah, run it up. And they hyped her up that, yeah, we're going to go for blood. And I think, this is my opinion, that Tasha was like, yes, finally, people that got that fight. But she doesn't realize, just like when the judge was telling her, right? Hey, Venus, thank you so much for the super sticker. She doesn't realize it, just like when the judge was telling her, girl, settle. When the judge was telling her, girl, you need to settle, right? He wasn't doing that because he wanted her to eat humble pie. He was literally saying, this is going to be time, money, and aggravation for all of us. And I'm looking at the evidence, and just off my experience, you might be better off settling. If a judge had sat there and said, you might want to settle. But again, she thought she had that ironclad, the ironclad countersuit. The countersuit got thrown out. And then when the countersuit got thrown out, then she wanted to talk settling. But why would Cardi settle with you after that? When they got thrown out, why would Cardi settle with you? When they got thrown out, it's like open doors. You lose, and it's only a matter of time to see how much you're losing, right? Yeah, Sharon said, was the end game was to say her legal defense was incompetent as a mistrial. Let me tell you something, and Johnda's going to be here in a second, and let's bring Lillie up on the stage. Hey, Queen, how are you doing? You are looking lovely.
Hi.
I love that green shadow. So
Thank
Sharon was
you.
saying, was the end game was to say that her legal defense was incompetent, a mistrial. It's very, very difficult to get, first of all, to have your defense deemed incompetent, super difficult. And the fact that she thanked them for fighting for her already, if even if she had a case, you've already said that you think they provided adequate counsel. But also for mistrial, from what I understand, it's a little bit complicated because not only do you have to prove that your lawyers messed up, dropped the ball, somehow failed you, but you have to prove in no uncertain terms that their failure, but would it not be for their failure, you would have won the case. That's really, really hard to prove, especially in the case when you got 10 counts against you. So it's like I go and I'm like, okay, but you did this and this. And they're like, okay. But if the jury had known what I didn't do or what I did do, would that have changed their minds? If the answer is no, then no, it's impossible. It's very, very hard to get a mistrial. I know it happens on TV all the time, but it's very hard to get a mistrial. It's very hard to get an appeal, actually, in cases like this, right? Because I believe the appeal will have to be on procedural things. Did everybody follow procedure? That would be something like if there were only 4 jurors instead of, I think 6 is the minimum jurors you can have, right? At least, I don't know what it is in Georgia, but in most states, 6 is the minimum jurors you can have. So that's just say all the jurors got COVID and you had a trial with 4 jurors. Okay, that's procedural because every trial has to have a minimum of 6, a maximum of 12 jurors, right? Let's just say the judge was asleep through most of the trial. Okay, fine, because the judge needs to be awake. Let's just say that the jury, like the jury was very biased. Like they were like, had their phone and was like live tweeting, like, I hate this B, Tasha. I can't wait to put her under the ground, right? That might be a mistrial. But even then they'd be like, okay, so let's just say that juror voted, like put you under the ground, but did the other ones? Because if the other ones didn't agree with the juror that hated you, is that really a mistrial? But those are the types of things, it's procedural to make sure that all the rules of the court are followed. Here, it looks like they met all their deadlines. They did all their motions. They represented her adequately, right? Which means it was better than nothing there, maybe. And I don't know. I don't think she really has a case for I don't think she has. Hey, Marie Johnson, thank you so much, Mama. I don't think she has a case for a mistrial. I really don't. Venus Phillips, thank you again for the super sticker. So listen, Lillie, since you are here, thank you so much, Queen. Listen, we want it all. Now, when you walked into court today, what was the mood?
The mood was everybody's attention because I was running a little late. Mm-hmm. She actually had just started. Lisa Moore, she had just started, so I didn't miss much. Okay. But the mood was everybody was focused on listening to Cardi's attorney, Lisa Moore. It was more like a focus mood.
Really? What was how was Cardi? What was her body language?
She was sitting straight forward in her seat because her attorney was up in front of her. So she was sitting directly forward.
Did she look
nervous? And Tasha was sitting back with her husband. Today, she was sitting with her husband.
Oh, really? Oh. I guess it was she knew. Do you think they came in defeated, or do you think they came in still with hope?
I would say defeat. I think defeat. I really do. Because every time I saw her, even when she would walk through the hall to go to the bathroom, I saw defeat. And that's my opinion. I saw defeat.
And was this before or after the jury left?
Before and after. I saw defeat.
Before and after, right? Okay, that makes sense. All right, so what about let's talk about with the closing arguments. Who do you think gave a better closing argument? We just went over Cardi B's people, and we'll get into Tasha's case. Who do you think gave a better argument?
I'm gonna be honest, Cardi people. Tasha people was ill prepared the entire time. I would say at least one time they was good. But I'm gonna say Cardi people. I'm just being honest. And it's not to choose sides anything between Cardi B and Tasha K. It's the truth. Cardi's
Okay.
people.
I mean, listen, they won the case, so clearly the jury thought the same thing. The proof is in the pudding. Now, there was rumors that while Tasha B's lawyer Olga was was presenting her closing, she actually lost her train of thought.
Yes.
How did that happen? How, like, what was the move when she lost? What was the court doing? Were people sitting in amazement?
It was just very strange because, hold on, I'm looking at Olga's paper. It was strange because she was saying that the jury should disregard all of the statements that Cardi B's team have made against their client, Tasha K. And then she was just up there. It's like her mind went blank and she was just standing there looking around. She lost her train of thought. She had to gather herself because it was like, what is going on here? And stress can do that to you. I'm going to verify because I like to be honest. I'm trying to live in a better place in my life. Stress, that attorney was under stress. She knew she felt her client, and that's why she lost her train of thought. Stress will do a number on your mind.
It will. I would just hope, and I guess that wasn't the case, that Cardi B would have hired, I'm not Cardi, Tasha K would have hired more seasoned lawyers that were used to that stress of the courtroom. Again, this is what makes me think that these lawyers, for whatever reason, are really good with negotiating. But when it comes to go to trial, I don't think they really thought the case would go to trial. I think they thought they could intimidate Cardi B to somehow settle or go away. And Cardi B got more money and time, and she was truly hurt. And she felt disrespected. All the things that somebody's not going to let go of a lawsuit. So yeah, I think I don't think that they're good in court. They never expected it to go there. Did you get that feeling from them?
You said what now? I'm sorry.
Did you get that feeling from them that they were good that they weren't really comfortable in
I
court?
don't get it that they're good at anything. Tasha K's attorneys, I think they're probably horrible this is my opinion. I think they're probably even horrible as criminal defense attorneys.
Listen,
because if you go to that review page, it's so many negative reviews.
So you know what? Again, this goes back to my first theory, and it's just my theory that Tasha K went with people that made her feel like she can win. Instead of like literally asking someone, because you're paying, when you go to those high firms, you're paying for a consultant. Instead of sitting down and asking someone, listen, like, explain to me why you think I can't win. Explain to me. And even when you explain, email me some evidence to show me other cases that prove what you're saying. Because again, the truth, I realize sometimes people don't want to hear things that are outside of what they want to hear, but this is what Tasha K fell into, just like sometimes commenters fall into that. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Tasha K got mad because someone told her, this is just me speculating, right? You're probably not going to win this case. Don't even take it to court. It's going to be a waste of legal fees, blah, 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 blah. Let's try to negotiate. Let's try to settle. What do these people want? Shane want to hear that. No. So then, and that's the thing. I get it when people are like, no, I only want positive thinking. No, I'm going to manifest, right? But positive thinking and manifestation, to me, work when you are in complete control of the situation. And in most cases, can be in complete control of yourself. But when you walk into a courtroom, you are no longer in control of the situation. So that positive thinking is like, what are you doing? It's time to be realistic. Like, stop it. No, speak it into existence. No, not in the courtroom, not with jury of 12. We going old school, Here's the ground, let's touch it. So yeah. So tell us, like, from then when she lost her train of thought, just the general mood and feeling. Did Tasha K do anything with her when her lawyer lost her train of thought?
When she lost her train of thought, she just hopped right into saying, talking about the Cardi B cold sores. And she was trying to pretty much say they are cold sores, which the results, test results says different, is no kind of form of herpes. She just went right into that. And
Again,
then it was so bad. If she was still struggling at this point with her train of thought, because I wrote down, it's hard to follow this attorney. She bores me. Because I'm gonna tell you, she was all over the place. She started out good, then she lost her train of thought.
see,
I got sleepy. I'm gonna be honest. I became
did
sleepy.
you? Oh, she was one of those type of lawyers. You know, I will honestly say though, again, I remember when Johnda was on board and she was saying that Tasha B strikes her as the type of client that is hard to control. Because again, the lawsuit was already underway. The first thing I would have did when I sat down with you as my client would have been like, listen, we're going to court. Do not admit anything. Do not deny anything. Do not even speak about this case. If you do need to speak, here's your script. Read off of that. If you don't see what you need on, if you don't see what you need on that script, right? If you don't see what you need, I'm like dialing people back. If you don't see what you need on that script, then text message me or email me. But above all, do not say, hey, I'll call you right back. But above all, do not say, above all, do not say, anything that could damage or even that they can use against you. And you up here admitting to everything you did in videos, but
you gotta think about it, Tisa. She was in court.
No,
lying is not gonna help her.
It's not in court. She admitted this on video too.
Oh yeah, the video that you.
Yeah, no, listen.
I'm talking about in court.
For some reason, y'all keep making it seem who's gonna purge her. I'm not saying anyone purge her. I'm saying before we even get to court.
Okay.
How about you don't say anything? You don't ever got to worry about purging yourself.
Attorneys will tell you not to say anything if you haven't went to court yet.
Don't say anything because you don't know what they're going to use. You don't know how they're going to take that video. You don't know. You don't know who's looking at it. So just like literally someone's like, hey, what's going on with your lawsuit with Cardi B? Huh? Oh, that's it. We can't speak about it. Let's move on.
But this is the thing, Tisa. She the one recorded. She called and recorded Lovely T. It was her idea. She put herself in that situation. Think about it. She recorded it. Tasha did.
Listen, the Tasha stuff, Tasha made a lot of wrong moves, but also that lets me think, were you even talking to your lawyers? How much were you paying them? Like $100 a week? even when I wanted to talk to someone, I would have thought if I'm paying my attorneys, they would be on the other line, literally listening why I'm talking to that person. And as soon as I start veering, they're like, hang up. The fact that she had this, she kept just doing renegade stuff because maybe she thought that she knew, maybe those crazy attorneys were advising her because it doesn't seem like they were that much better. Now, Matt Nichols said, did you get the Storm not going in on the case? Will his subs ask? If they do, will he answer? I guess this is about Storm. People were saying that, is it Star Monroe was somehow involved in this with Tasha?
No, he wasn't there at all.
He wasn't?
No.
Was he expected to? Like, what was his involvement in this?
I'm going to tell you, I didn't hear them mention him at all. His name was not mentioned. Maybe it was in some document somewhere that I haven't seen, but no, not at all.
Well, here's the thing. Good point. Zeta says, how do you know Tasha K's lawyers didn't tell her to follow a script? You're right. Just like Johnda said, he told her to follow a script. And maybe she was like, no, I'm going to do what I want because I'm the smartest person in the room. And maybe that's why y'all might be right. Because honestly, she didn't have any anger toward her attorneys. She literally thanked them like they did the best job in the world. So whatever the problem is, Tasha doesn't see it with her attorneys. And even though everybody said that it was a different Tasha in a courtroom, I can't. Tasha B, yes, I keep calling her Tasha B, right? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Tasha doesn't strike me as someone that's stupid. Like, have you ever heard that she's like not that quick or not that intelligent?
I don't see her as being stupid, but sometimes, Tisa, people can put on airs. I've been guilty of it before when I was younger. Things I didn't know, I would pretend I know just to make it, to get along in life. You know what I mean? Because certain things I didn't learn because I raised myself. So sometimes you put on airs, and she may be putting on airs when she's on air on her YouTube channel. I'm just being honest. People do it all the time. I'm my own mind. I've done it.
Okay, so that could be it. Now, somebody says that they heard that the IRS is going to come after Tasha. I don't think it's for tax evasion. If she does get something with the
Well, it
IRS,
came up that something about this is what I was told, because certain things I missed, because you heard me asking this lady outside some questions.
yeah.
It was said, and I'm not sure of it, allegedly, something about they haven't paid taxes in 3 years. But I remember on Tasha K's video, she used to talk about she paid her taxes faithfully. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying,
Well,
allegedly.
this
One
is
of
the
the
thing. This is
reporters
all
said that.
alleged. We're just speculating right now. It could also be that now that the alter ego, so now they, instead of looking at it as a corporation and Tasha K, they're looking at it as one as the same, right? It could be that they were filing separate taxes for the corporation or LLC and for her, but now that it's all in one, right? They have to be done together and your taxes have to be up because there were probably some tax write-offs you took that you shouldn't have if it was just for your personal. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, it's a sole proprietorship. It's not an LLC in a traditional form. You need to redo your taxes. You need to file an amendment. That said, you don't want the IRS breathing down your throat, even if
this is the thing. Where the federal court is, that's where the IRS is. That whole building.
Yes.
So it's like, that's
It
a little
is.
frightening for Tasha. It would be
Yes,
for
it
me.
is. And here's the thing, right? The thing with Tasha is even in federal court, there's still, I do not know if it's settled. I'll actually do an update. The thing that's going on with the lead, what is it? The lead counsel on the government counsel on the R. Kelly case. When Tasha got those documents, they were government documents she received and she read them out loud. Again, she screwed her. Oh my God. How do they know that she received that?
She be wanting to show off, Tisa.
But how did she show off though? Because she had printouts. And you know how when you get printouts from your job, they got like that little code on the bottom that's like page 1 and it'd be like that computer code at the bottom. Whenever you go into the company database and you print something out like, oh, I need to see my benefits or this or that, all the printouts have something. Tasha literally read them online verbatim. So they were just like, okay, she definitely got government records. And then because nobody believed her, she posted them on her Instagram, I believe. And they took screenshots and they looked at the bottom and they put that code in and they were able to find the exact date, time, and everything of who had accessed that system. So they went to that day and they were like, okay, so let's just say 8:28 a.m. Who accessed the system? And from that, they were able to find the employee that was giving her stuff. And they monitored the employee for a few months to make sure to see who she was giving it to. And then they moved in on Tasha K. Tasha K did take the journalism defense. I know y'all don't want to believe a blogger can't be a journalist, but you can have the opinion journalism expense saying it doesn't need to be based on facts. It's only on your opinion, right? I mean, I know as an opinion journalist, you have to say, this is my opinion, right? You don't just get to act like it's fact. But the thing about that was also so interesting is they were like, yeah, maybe you might have the journalism, the First Amendment. However, if you paid money, you've now received stolen federal property, and that's an issue. So I think they were actually digging around looking to see if they could find any proof that she'd ever paid that woman, man. I don't know who she paid that person to actually receive it. So Tasha K, I mean, again, it's sad. Like, and when I say it's sad, I mean it's sad from a universal. Justice was served. What she did to Cardi was wrong. Cardi had doctors saying she felt like ending it. She didn't think she was worthy. She couldn't work. Cardi's team tried to point out, let me just get my notes. Cardi B's team tried to point out that, like, how can you say that when you, like, you know, worked with Holly Berry, you're ambassador for Playboy, you got engaged, you run a Grammy, and how can you say that? And like how you pointed out, Lillie, that doesn't mean anything. Somebody can be sad and still functioning. Lots of people know that. You can be sad and still functioning. Look at, I don't even want to talk about that, but look at, fortunately, Regina King's son, right? Everybody's shocked. You never know what's in somebody's mind. You never know. Now, the defense lawyer made a good point. All right, well, if how am I supposed to know what's in your mind if you don't tell me? If you smiling, I mean, what else do I have to say? Maybe that would have been a good point, except for the fact that They sent you cease and desist letters. You knew perfectly well that was bothering them, and you had the conversation with Lovely T. And I just want to say this. A lot of people say, oh my God, is this going to change the face of YouTube? I mean, if anybody's making bold-faced lies up, of course, stop telling bold-faced lies. We saw what happened with Tasha K. But for everyone else, including myself, Lillie included, that just give their opinion on what they think, no, it's fine as long as you're like, this is my opinion and this is what I'm basing this on. I know a lot of people are like, oh, use the word allegedly, but allegedly doesn't really work with allegedly doesn't really work with it doesn't really work with it's more about, did you present your statement as fact? No? Okay, but even if you said allegedly, right? I'll give you a perfect example. It's like me saying, damn, yo, I think Tasha's a drunk. Someone's like, why you know that? Girl, trust me, she a drunk. Blah, 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 right? And then they say, but allegedly, she's a drunk allegedly. In the state of Georgia, that's not protected. However, if I say, girl, I think Tasha's a drunk, because every day at 5 a.m., I see her sitting outside and she drinks a bucket of wine. And then she goes back in and comes back with vodka on the rocks. Girl, I think she's a drunk. And that ain't no allegedly. That is actually covered because I didn't present my opinion as fact. I literally told you, this is where I think, this is why I think that. And I gave you the opportunity to look at my evidence and make up your own mind. You know, allegedly won't save you in Georgia. It's nice to say it because it doesn't hurt, but allegedly doesn't save you in Georgia. But what would have saved her is is an apology. You know how like you just like, damn, why didn't I just apologize? Why didn't I just apologize? She's probably thinking about that right now while she's driving home. Why didn't I apologize? Now, this is interesting, right? Tasha and her husband couldn't decide who the CEO of the studio is. The jury found neither of them credible. They said that there was no proof that Cardi B did cocaine. But tell me about that weird exchange with Olga where she was like, well, did you do Molly? And Cardi was like, no, I never did Molly. And she was like, oh, you did Molly one time. And the judge was like, strike that. There's no proof that she did Molly. You just can't be saying these things.
Okay, one moment.
Okay.
Hold on.
Sure. I'm just going to go through the notes a little more.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go on.
Olga, she brought up Molly and weed use. She trying to say that, you know, to make the case that Cardi has done drugs. And she said in the past, Cardi said she used, this is something that it was an interview, and she stated that in this interview, Cardi admitted she did drugs. Okay. In the past, Cardi said she used Molly while stripping. She no longer uses it, supposedly said in an interview, a magazine interview. Cardi says she never used cocaine. So that's what that was about. And then it brought up the beer bottle again to testify. Tasha's doing it because it's on Pornhub. It wasn't Cardi in the video. Olga says Cardi is lying about the Molly, about using Molly only once. Because supposedly Cardi said she used it once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was about the Molly situation.
Okay. Now, okay, so we see this and they're trying to debate over little quibbles. But at this point, I think they're just trying to maybe even get one count thrown out. But even to me, that doesn't sound credible. You trying to say this girl was like a whole drug addict, basically. And she's like, no, that's not what the case is. Now, I do. Mystical Pisces says YouTube will change things because of her, and she will have to take any videos that she lied on anyone. Well, you guys, and also someone says strict mandates and new laws start from small victories. I understand that. But you guys, YouTube already has a code of conduct. And you know, I just have to point out this. Everybody acts like this is the first high profile case that's been on YouTube. Go look at Joe Rogan's case. He got sued for way more than Cardi B, and he lost. And what happened to him? YouTube did not take away his channel. He actually grew in subscribers, and he got that huge Spotify deal. So, yeah. Wait, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Lillie. I think you're muted. Yeah, you muted yourself. Just hit the mic button. Lillie, back in a second. So, you guys, it's Joe Rogan. And it's a few people, right? It's a few people that have gotten sued for way more and lost bigger than Tasha K and had way more subscribers. That's still actually, hey Lillie, that's still
Hey, sorry
actually not
about
only
that.
no problem. They came back, they got more subscribers, and guess what? YouTube didn't remove their pages. At the end of the day, what they do though, I believe this is what I read, okay? They monitor the channel closely because Tasha K is a big moneymaker. So they monitor the thing closely for a long while to make sure you don't step out of line. But YouTube is actually not in. Now, probably little channels, okay, they're like, oh, please go. But channels that have million, 2, 3, 4, 5 million, Jake Paul's channel, they do what they can to keep that traffic on. They really honestly do what they can. A true big legal victories, but again, I'm okay, I can't say I'm 100% certain, but I'm 96% certain that YouTube's code of conduct already has this written in. I'm not the community, not the code of conduct, the community guidelines already has this written in. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm 90% sure. Let's see. Well, okay, Tasha didn't think those rules and guidelines apply, but I also want you guys to realize that the thing that sunk Tasha, who said it before? It was the interview with Lovely T. I don't know why she introduced that to evidence. I don't know why she did it. That was the thing that sunk her.
Her attorneys did that.
Yeah, her attorneys did that, but without that, it would have been so hard for them to prove their case. It really would have been a fruitless case. But anything's easy when the person is sitting there she literally confessed. Y'all like, oh, this and that. It's like me coming in and be like, yes, here's the knife, I did it, okay, and I'm sitting there telling you about it with a cocky attitude. Yeah, I did it. And it's just like, all right, girl, like, what do you expect to happen? But a lot of the things that Cardi was supposed to prove, that Cardi wanted to prove, are super difficult to prove. And that's why most people don't go to court, because it's super difficult to prove. Also, you don't want to give someone a bigger platform, because it's very rare you wipe out their YouTube channel. And if you wipe out that YouTube channel, they can make another YouTube channel. But now they have the public eye. Now they have publicity. So you're almost breathing life into something. People that know. The only thing with Tasha K that really messed her up, at that point, she had gotten so big that she was a problem, and it was officially worth it to go after her. You see what I'm saying? If Tasha K had 100,000 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers, probably, Cardi would have just been like, girl, whatever. But you got 1 million, and you are going after me weekly. And again, it wasn't just saying, oh, I think this person, go on.
There could be a chance she could. They mentioned about the videos too. So either they could get her to take the videos down, and there could be a chance maybe her channel could go.
If she refuses to take the videos down. Is if she refuses or if she takes the videos down?
I don't know if they said or not, but it was said.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that what they're trying to say is, if you don't take these videos down, we're gonna pull your whole channel down.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna find out that part tomorrow too.
Yes,
they didn't get to that today, but they did mention. I heard the judge talking about what the jury, you know what I mean? And
yes,
it was said about the videos, either have her to take them down, or her, maybe the channel could go.
Exactly. She knows, right? But again, Joe Rogan's channel's up, a lot of people's channels up. But again, she prepared for this. Now her Patreon makes a lot of sense. Now her app makes a lot of sense. Somebody actually
She was preparing. That was smart. That on that part, she was smart. She was preparing herself, and I didn't know that's what she was doing, because I would still sometimes go look at her. I didn't know that's what she was doing. She would be like, y'all make sure you get the app. It's something a month or something, she was saying. Yes. The cost for the app.
Yeah, it was like $2.99 a month, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
Very
yeah, it was a thing. But also, somebody actually opined that even if they take her main channel down and she has her backup channel.
But you got to think, is that website is part of Kibi Studio LLC?
But even if it is, it's proprietary thing. And people, you just set up a new LLC and you literally buy that for a nominal amount, as long as it's over $1 and you receive some type of consideration. And then boom, now that proprietary property can be used on the other site. It's basically the company's like selling you the printer or a desk. So if that's the case, that's what it is. But I do have to say that that's a good point. That is a good point about what they're actually going to. That's a good point about what they're actually going to do. I will say that somebody said that she's going to try to keep, if she gets kicked off of YouTube, she might start a little account, because this is a time for her fans to really rally against her, not against her, but with her. That she's going to start to use YouTube as a feeder and maybe have 3 or 5 minute teasers and move people off the app to Patreon, or move people to.
Because that's pretty much what she has been doing. Moving
Has she
them to
really?
the app. Yep.
Huh. The last thing I saw Martell, and I saw Nene's ex-friend, and then I saw Jessica Harris. Those are the Tasha interviews I saw. The Jessica Harris one. The Jessica Harris one, she was a little firecracker. I actually liked her for some reason, because she did not care. She was like, "Yeah, we had drugs. Hey, what's up?" So listen, we are joined by attorney Johnda. You have come in the nick of time. A lot of people have been asking, does Cardi have a chance at a mistrial for not being represented to her liking?
You mean, does Tasha K have a chance at a
I
mistrial?
don't know why
You
I
keep
can't
saying
get
Cardi,
right.
but
No, I get it. I get it.
It's the B. It's the syllable at the end. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, same. I apologize, everybody. Tasha K. Yes, I do mean Tasha K.
Trial is over at this point. So if the judge was going to declare mistrial, it would have happened now, or set aside the verdict, because the judge can certainly set aside the verdict. The judge could say that that the verdict does not comport with applicable law, and so the judge does have the authority to do that. You don't often see it, but it's an extraordinary remedy, but it can happen. And that's really, everybody says mistrial. And of course, we always, that's what we do this, to break it down to everybody. A mistrial is something that the court views as an extraordinary remedy. It is not something that courts take lightly at all. In fact, I'm trying to get this camera right, sorry. They will move heaven and earth to try not to do it. And that is why you will see situations where judges will, even if they have to step in, and we saw this judge do it a number of times, if the judge feels like they need to step in and ask some questions, or they need to be like, okay, things are looking way too one-sided here. So a judge certainly has the discretion where they feel they need to, even if just in the interest of making sure that the jury hears things that they need to hear, not exactly putting on someone's case for them. But again, there's sometimes, even in regular court, and I'm sure even if any of you have ever been to like traffic court, you've seen situations where individuals have gone to court, especially people who go by themselves, right? Where the judge kind of sees what they're trying to ask the police officer, but they just don't know how. I mean, this isn't what they do for a living. And he'll kind of like try to prod them along a little bit because they know what they're trying to do. But all of that being said, a mistrial, all of that is seen as an extraordinary remedy that judges try to avoid, because essentially that means you have to start over as if this never occurred. So what is the more likely scenario is that and I just can't imagine that she wouldn't, right? I mean, come on. What is going to be the more likely scenario, and I think we all saw this coming, is that she's going to appeal the case. With or without her counsel, she will appeal the case. Now, one of the areas, obviously, the obvious area that she will probably try to appeal the case is based on ineffective assistance of counsel. And that's not me making a judgment call on her lawyers one way or the other. I'm saying that's just, I think I mentioned it last week. First of all, that's the catch-all for everybody. If all else fails, blame your lawyer. Secondly, there are several instances in this case where she actually can point to the record, not even just, it's my opinion that my counsel sucked. But she could point to the record and say, the judge said in open court that my counsel was on
Need
one.
to go back to first year of law school.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if there is ever just the very first reason or rationale that she would give in her petition for appeal, we know that that's number one. It would be number one even if her counsel was great, but in this instance she's got a record to support her. Now there is also a record that supports the idea, and the appeals court could certainly look at it because they will look at the entirety of the record to say, even if you had the best counsel in the world, given the things that you said in court, not even the evidence of the case, like I'm talking, the YouTube videos and all that, given the things that you said in court, the number of times that you perjured yourself, your husband saying that you perjured yourself, given all of those factors, you having different counsel would not have changed the outcome.
Yeah.
A court could look at it and say it wouldn't have been a difference, especially given that this is a jury trial. The jury would have hated you either way.
Okay.
So they could certainly do that. I'm sorry. Remember, I wasn't on because of my voice. So we have that. But I had to come today. My Lord. Oh, my goodness. So there is that. So the other piece is, as we know, because we've talked it to death, right? The standard for defamation is extremely high. So there are certainly arguments that her counsel, whoever it is, I doubt it'll be the same ones, will make that fundamentally the court erred in allowing this case to even go forward past summary judgment, because from the inception of the case, that this case did not show any level of malice, of meeting that standard, especially when even the court acknowledged way back in July that Cardi B is a public figure for all purposes at all times, which makes that standard even higher. So they've got some decent arguments. The record of what happened in court doesn't necessarily bode well for her because of her own behavior, but as far as the possibility of them getting this case into appellate court, it is certainly possible, because her attorneys
and the judge
threatened
to make
just by the things that he said, and just the malice standard, and the question of did she meet the malice standard from a legal standpoint, or did she meet the malice standpoint from the view of a jury just hating her so much? Because let's be clear, based on just, and I'm sure you all went through this earlier, based on just the first question that the jury sent out to the judge, they did not like this woman. Because you guys talked about that, the jury questions.
No, but please talk about the jury question.
The first question that the jury sent out to the judge was whether or not the court had the authority to make Tasha take the videos down. To me, if Tasha's people didn't know that was a clue to where this was going, I don't know what is. Because first of all, and the judge ruled correctly on that. He sent the question back and said, I'm not going to answer that because that's something you shouldn't even be considering. But the bigger point, for if I were representing Tasha, or if I were Tasha, that would be like a strike to the heart, because that tells you that not only is the jury not happy with you, but it shows that, or at least gives a clue. But yes, it also shows that they are sympathetic to Cardi, because the mere fact that of all the million things they had to think about in that laundry list of jury instructions they received, they wanted the court to think about, to give them the opportunity to think about taking those videos down. That means they felt the videos were wrong and it bothered them. And if that's the case, really, that is the case, right?
It is.
If you've got a jury saying, can the court make her take the videos down? That jury is already saying, we think that these videos are crap and we want extra remedies. That also was a clue, and we saw what they did. It also was a clue that they were going to try and come back with a high dollar verdict, because again, they were already asking to do extra stuff that nobody asked them to do.
Now, I have a question. Does it make a difference if she thanked her attorneys afterwards, when she goes in for an appeal for ineffective counsel?
Oh, no.
Okay. So that's just
people,
niceties.
business people, politeness, whatever. Especially since most of us, I think after a few days pass, I think reasonable minds can agree that, do we really believe that she posted that post? I mean, I think most of us, like you and I, are still kind of like, do we really believe she, that negative post on Olga's website?
Yeah,
I still don't know if I think she wrote that.
With what was going on with the trial, that she could really be like, this wasn't her. But and thing is, she hasn't come out and denied it, but she got so much on her plate. She ain't worried about some dumb tweet. She's like, if you don't get out of my face, I'm trying to fight for my life. And you talk about an attorney review.
And I mean, there's a million things being said that were being said from day to day. That was just one of them. So if you're going to address that rumor, you might as well address them all. Girl, you need to be somewhere preparing for trial or getting some sleep or something.
Yeah, no, definitely. So when the appeal process, how long do you think the appeal process will actually take? If they do,
that could go on for years.
Oh, really?
Yes. Civil cases are usually, they just take a very long time. I mean, even with COVID in play, or the pandemonium as I call it, even with that in play, there's the possibility that we still would just be getting here with this trial. Civil cases take notoriously long, and part of that is they're not the highest priority on the docket, because of course with criminal cases you have a right to a speedy trial, so they're always going to take precedence. Plus, if the case is going to be tried, then it goes on for days. Courts have to find the time on the docket for that. So between the time that she has to appeal and then the other side has to respond, and all of that, even if the court were to grant her a hearing, that hearing would be months and months and months down the line. And then the decision is not necessarily rendered that day, because it depends on how that works out in the courts in Georgia. So it'll be very interesting. I think that if she's got the money, she might want to cut her losses. I can understand why she would want to appeal. I just don't know if it will get her anywhere. You guys were talking right before I came on about some of these high dollar cases and these big cases. Joe Rogan, the multiple times back in the day that like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman sued the National Enquirer and other newspapers like that. Johnny Depp suing the papers over in Europe and all, so these cases can go on forever. And typically when there is a verdict that comes out of them, unless it's something that actually stops the person from doing their work, like to saying you can't run your newspaper anymore, you can't have your show anymore, extraordinary amounts that the person can't afford, because typically the court will, adjust the amount. Rarely is the first number the last number. A lot of times people just go ahead and pay it and keep it moving.
Yeah, I would think so. What, again, let me ask you a question, right? Everybody keeps saying like, oh, it's because Tasha K lied, it's because she lied. Let's just say that tape hadn't been there. And let's just say she
Which
did.
one?
You don't. So I know which one, right? The one with
I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like,
yeah.
there's
Okay, how about this? Let's just say there is no admission that she lied or knew she lied, right?
Mhm.
She thought on good faith, I'm saying this, I think it's good faith. How strong would their case have been then? And there's no evidence showing that she knew she was telling a lie and she genuinely believed Star Marie's interview.
I think obviously that's an entirely different case, right? I mean, because there were so many additional factors here, which is what helped with the malice piece. I think a lot of what occurred after, not just the Star Marie interview, but the doubling down on it, because we've talked about that. The doubling down on it, the stuff on Twitter, these subsequent videos, because I mean, we're talking what, 23, 28 videos?
No, over 40 videos.
Yeah, but let's be honest, you guys. Like, we have over 30 in a season, over 50 or 60 videos for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like,
Yeah,
40
But
videos.
that's a little different because that's a TV series.
No, these were largely, well, it depends on what your videos are. We're talking videos. The reason why the number, I think, plays into this, because we know, right? And obviously, if as an attorney, I would say, well, if it was during a year, because there's some years where every star might have a really, really big year, and then the following year they take a break. Like right now, this is Adele's year. You know, she comes out every 5 years and gives us a big, to do. So everything is going to be her releasing a new song every couple of weeks, whatever's going on in her personal life, the drama with the Vegas show. Then this time next year, she'll have like 57 Grammy nominations and all of that. So in light of that, this is going to be a year where there will be news stories about her like every day, right? So if you are TMZ or some blog, you can say, well, I did a gazillion stories about Adele this year because this was the year of Adele. And we also know
Oh, I see
that,
what you're saying.
and
I
we
see what
also
you're
know,
saying.
so, and this is actually supporting what you're saying. So I'm getting to that part. So arguably, an attorney could say in the case of Tasha, hey, when she did all of those videos, that was a big year for Cardi. So of course, as a vlogger, she's got lots of news. She's having babies, she's getting Grammys. If I'm reporting on entertainers, the top entertainer is going to be on my list more often than not,
But
right?
she was reporting
However,
bad stuff.
and there you go. That's the part I was getting to.
She wasn't
However,
reporting the good stuff.
However, what does her in and what
Y'all,
did
my
her
battery
in
about to
here
go dead.
is,
So if my phone go out, it's because my
Okay.
battery's at 4%. I'm gonna stay on till it go out.
Okay.
It's at 4%. That's why I keep reaching up there
most of
looking.
those videos, it was the same vitriol over and over. It was some videos of her saying, hell yeah, I don't like her. And this is a fact. This ain't so it was her. So
Yeah.
it was the vitriol of the video. So I do agree with you that under normal circumstances, if I've got 50 videos about Beyonce and it just happened to be a big year for Beyonce,
Everyone's talking about Beyonce. Then it's like, it's newsworthy.
But if every single one of those videos is Beyonce is then that's an argument that you've got a bug up your butt about her. And so when she sues you because you also said some other crazy stuff, then it goes on from there. However, back to your original point, totally different case, because I do believe it was the pile on that did her in, because it's the pile on that proves the malice. One story about someone who is basically an omnibus public figure for everybody. Unless you are literally accusing them of taking somebody out, like something real. I mean, not that this wasn't bad, but like there's degrees of bad,
I
right?
know what you're talking about. Like you're accusing them of they're involved in yes,
Exactly.
they had a shovel and they were out by the creek and you're
she's Tony Soprano out here,
Yeah.
then maybe the one accusation might be enough. But I agree with you. The one time of bringing someone on, and that person is the one, because that's the other thing. It was Star Marie who said the words, right? So she could say, look, I didn't say it. She said it. Yes, I had her on my show. And yes, I'm going to vouch for the fact that I wouldn't have put her on if I didn't think that there was some validity to what she was saying, because you have a responsibility there as well. You can't use as an excuse across the board, well, I wasn't the one who said it. You still bear some responsibility for putting that person on your platform to spew whatever garbage they're spewing. But yeah, so I do agree with you 100%. I do think that if she left it with Star Marie, yeah, her and Cardi might have still gone back and forth about take the video down. No, I don't want to take the video down, whatever. I don't know. I don't think we would be here. Certainly not with all 10, because a lot of people are like 3 counts. No, it was not 3 counts. It was 10. So I don't think we would be here with all 10 counts.
I don't think so either. I do think,
listen, it's all that other crap.
True. So Melissa Mann says, Tisa, why are you defending Tasha K this much? I love you, but she was very wrong for the things she said. Okay, you guys, let me tell you something about my channel, right? In my channel, I like to discuss things and I like to play devil's advocate. If you think we are sitting here for 2 hours talking about, yep, she was right, we are discussing the case. We're discussing what she did right, what she did wrong. We are discussing what the defendants did right. We're discussing what the plaintiffs did right. That's what we're doing. If you look at that as taking up, then I really don't know what to tell y'all. Like, it's a cold world. You better bundle up. She won. We congratulated her. We're happy she got her justice in court. But if it bothers you,
if she like it, I love it. It is what it is.
But if it bothers you, me being like, okay, well, where do you think she lost? Do you think if she did this, it would have turned out better? Do you think if she did this? Because this is what's interesting to me. All right. I'm sorry that offends y'all, but the truth can stand up to just.
Sorry, my teeth blow.
Listen. Okay, you know what? I'll do this. Okay. So you know what? Let's just get people out. Listen, if it bothers you, then I'm asking questions about something that's already decided that can't be changed.
Already done.
It's already.
I want to see how tomorrow's gonna go. My brain is already like, what is gonna go down? Is she on social media, Tiffany? Has she made a statement?
Yeah, she's made a statement saying that she's going to start grinding 3 days from now. She's made a statement that she's going to start grinding. She's getting back to work in a few days. But again, y'all, this is my channel. I'm intellectually curious. She won. We are literally the same way guys sit there and talk about a football game afterwards. Don't nobody saying you're so biased to the Cowboys.
Or after a woman has already broken up with them and their mother stopped paying their rent, they still can't stop talking about how much they hate women. Yeah, we're doing the same thing.
Exactly. Like, you guys, this is what we do. This is fun for us. Whoever enjoys it, please stick around. And if you don't enjoy it, then I do invite you. You can go. Like, there's no bias. I'm glad Cardi got. I'm not even explaining myself.
And you better be hitting that like button, people. Hit that like button.
Y'all are truly tripping. Like, what
you got plugged in?
I had to plug my charger into it.
What is going on?
It was at 4%.
Exactly what you want to hear. And you came to this channel. Do y'all want to email me a script and I'll read it? Like, I'm an anchor. Y'all are welcome to leave, but I want to know. Don't y'all want to get intellectually curious? If anybody you know is ever in this situation, you ask questions. So if they ever need advice, you're like, you know what's going on. Like, how do y'all survive in life? Anyway, continue, counselor. Sorry. Continue. So,
well, I'm excited for tomorrow. I know I sound like a geek, but I mean, how do you think I got here without having some geek tendencies? I mean, I'm glad for you guys that think I'm cool. I'm cool geek. So, but I'm excited about tomorrow. With the damages, I want to see, because tomorrow it's got some juice to it, because we're, today, I mean, today was good.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot happened in one day. More happened today. I mean, can we just pause for a second and take note of the fact that more happened today than like 5 days of this trial combined?
Yes.
Because it seemed like every time y'all went to court, they sent you home.
Yeah.
Today, you got closing arguments, jury instructions, and the jury did their job better than everybody, because they went in that room. They even had lunch, from what I understand, which means they banged all this out in 3.5 hours, because they
Wow.
were out for like, I think, 4 and some change, and they had an actual lunch. So they banged this. They worked harder than everybody in this case.
Or they had
But
their minds made up as soon as they walked in. They were like,
and
anyway.
you know it, because
They had enough.
there were
They
too
was
many
tired.
elements that they had to consider. And usually what most juries do, and I don't expect that this one was any different, civil, criminal, doesn't really matter, just a matter of procedure,
Mhm.
is they'll go in and they'll take, a little bit of straw poll, see which way the air is going, so they know, is there anything here that we're actually fighting about? Okay,
Mm.
here are the complaint. Here's the complaint, the petition. These are the counts that she is suing on. Let's go through them: 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Liable, not liable. Okay, looks like on number 8, we have a little bit of a, we got a little bit of a tickle in our throat. Okay, let's stop and talk about number 8. Who's got some heartburn with number 8? But if nobody had a problem with 1 through 7 and 9 and 10, well, that's speeding us along. I would be willing to bet money that if we got a hold of any of these jurors, they would probably tell us that they spent, because 3 hours is just impossible that they discussed every little nuance. I would be willing to bet money that they probably spent the majority of their time going back and forth about the damages issue than they did about whether or not they were going to find her liable, because there were some counts that were similar, but they all related to, when you go through the complaint, Cardi's people literally picked out different incidents to go with each particular thing. Now, in terms of the intentional infliction of emotional distress, that was a catch-all, and it makes sense, right? Just by its very nature, like everything you did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a million, added up to you driving this woman to the point of not wanting to be on the planet anymore. But when it comes to the other counts, basically 1 through 9, because if I recall from my notes, the infliction of emotional distress was 10. So all the rest of them were connected to specific things. Excuse me. There's 3 hours. It's a lot of time, but time goes fast when you got 9 or 8 people with varying opinions and legalese that none of them are familiar with, videos, all kinds of stuff. So I really think that they knew, and it was just a matter of them going through the motions of, so that if the judge asked them, did you take your time to go through each one, they could say, well, yeah, we did. But I would bet money they spent more time on the damages. And I think even tomorrow, the attorneys are going to spend more time arguing about the damages than the jury is going to spend deliberating about them, because this jury knows exactly what they want to do. They want to try and give her the highest amount that they can, that they think the judge won't be like, okay, come on now, because they have already evidenced by how quick they turn this around. And like I said, by just that initial question, that they do not like what happened and they want somebody to be held accountable for it. And when you add to it the fact that I know I keep harping on the video piece in that question, but it is that one thing, guys, is so pivotal to me, because remember, she has yet to, or at least as of the trial starting, she has yet to voluntarily take them down. So that means it's not just the fact that the videos exist, but it's the fact that she won't take them down. That is obviously something that bothers them. And it bothers them enough that they sent something out to the judge. So you don't want a jury going in the back room to talk about how they're going to punish you, because tomorrow's money is based on punishment.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on today was the stuff that they have to actually show something in black and white.
Yep.
The medicals, $250K was ordered, but
I'm
of course
fixing my pillow, y'all. Don't think I'm crazy.
the judge said obviously they've got to bring back some bills. You know, that's a general amount. The legal fees, they got to bring back some bills. And trust me, Cardi's people they've got every associate in the firm today. Like, they've got their accountant with the little thing, a little hat on, you know, old school. You know how you had who is it, the Muppet? They are making sure they have all of those fees, which, guys, let's face it, she's got top of the line, white shoe law firm, two different sets of attorneys, one set out of New York, one set out of Atlanta, and the thing that I noticed is she didn't have a set out of Atlanta just so that the New York people could wave in, but it was the New York people who were in charge of the case. Because you know, if you have somebody who's not barred in a different state,
that's Lisa Moore.
Join with another firm just for the purposes of them signing the paper.
Yeah.
She was paying big money to both firms because both firms argued this case, not just one of them. And you know, they were working their butts off, travel expenses, because she doesn't live there, and 3 years of going back and forth. Those legal bills are going to be off the chain. And so you have that, but this million plus the 250K plus or minus for medical, the legal fees, which are going to be astronomical.
Okay.
But so that was today. Tomorrow is punitive, which means they're going to be basing their monetary figure on punishment, which brings that malice piece back into it, which brings the fact that you sat here in front of our faces for a week and still wouldn't take the damn video down, and you spent half of that week lying to us. And we don't like you.
If she took the video down,
the whole week lying. Since I've been there, she was lying.
Well, true. But if she took the video down, I would have thought that wouldn't have made a difference.
No, I'm not saying that it will, but I'm saying, again, we're talking about the minds of a jury who doesn't like you.
True.
So they're thinking you were a liar then, you lied to us now, you've gone through an entire trial and still haven't learned your lesson because the video was up there. We've all been dragged through this 9-10 days. Your lawyers are doing whatever. You and your husband, you're lying together. You're lying on each other. You got all kind of foolishness going on.
Yeah.
And you're right. By the way, Alicia, that blazer is fire.
Thank
you guys. I'm gonna tell y'all where I got this little outfit from. The jumpsuit, very affordable. The jacket, very affordable. Lovely wholesale.
Okay.
Y'all ever heard of them? It come from China. It may take 2 months to get it, but I shop low end and high end, and army fatigue.
Honey,
I wear army fatigue when I feel there's a spiritual warfare.
And then you put your Chanel pin on. I'm all with it.
Yeah, you gotta get ready. You know, you gotta bring it to life. Then I put on my army fatigue Prada heels. You gotta mix the low end with the high end. Then it don't look cheap, because this is a cheap outfit. And I'll be honest with you guys. That's how I do it sometimes. I mixed the low end with the high end.
Yes. Culinary says, thank you, ladies, for all your work to bring us the latest. It's been really fun. Thank you so much, Culinary. We have to catch up, actually. I've been so busy working, but yes, we're going to catch up. I know you've been really busy working too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Culinary. I appreciate it.
Like I said, I don't know what to say other than, tomorrow it's going to be fireworks and I can't wait.
I can't wait. And TG, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, it's going to be fireworks tomorrow. Yeah, I literally honestly feel like, I don't know. I feel like when they say you have just lost everything, it's going to be like, ooh, like I can't look like and I don't want to take glee out of that because I don't want to see somebody broken, but I don't know. I think the jury is going to go hard at her. I honestly, and again, that's why I kept telling y'all I'm not the jury. I didn't think that it would be every count. I thought maybe she'd get half or two.
I agree.
Or three. I
definitely felt that she was going to win the case, but in a defamation suit, a win is if you win any of those counts. You always bring multiple counts in civil court. You're not going to go through the time and expense and hang your hat on one thing. Mm-hmm. But in a defamation suit, because they're so difficult to make, most people would agree that if you could pull out a win on even one or two of those 10, it was still a win, because at the end of the day, there is a finding in the court that this person was wrong or that they lied, whatever the case may be, depending on which count there was. But every single count, including the intentional infliction of emotional distress, they outdid themselves on that one. And that's why I am, like you said, not taking glee. It's just the geek in me in this at this point. But I think that it is going to be very, very interesting to see how they come down on damages. And let's not forget, this is not just so what's going to also be interesting tomorrow in terms of the arguments, and I do recall that you all did touch a bit on this earlier. It's not just about Tasha K. Now that it is also Kibi LLC.
Yeah.
And so now there is the question, especially when you talk about damages and we're talking about punitive damages, how they are going to assess that in terms of whether or not it will just be one flat judgment and jointly and severally with Kibi LLC, or whether it will be separate judgments, Tasha K as an individual and Kibi LLC. I do think, and again, because we said we like to break it all down, but I do think that when all the dust clears, it will probably be one, because where all of the lying and shenanigans that went back and forth between them, shout out to Joseline Hernandez, where all of that counts in their favor, is that, as we discussed, it's fairly clear, and I think that without the help of anybody, but Tasha and her husband themselves have made it pretty clear with their pointing the fingers at each other that Kibi LLC and Tasha K are one and the same. And so this might be the one area where that revelation, if you will, might actually help them, because what's the point in trying to, beat a dead horse with entity versus individual? There's no question that it's one and the same. Whether it's the who answers the email thing, or the fact that her husband said the only business underneath the LLC is Tasha running her mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. So we're all hyped for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Tasha K's day of reckoning. Her being guilty and this $1 million. That's the tip of the iceberg.
It is.
Tomorrow,
I think
yeah.
if I were to lay odds on it, I'm thinking a minimum of an additional 2 to 3 million, and that's not inclusive of legal fees. And again, we're talking legal fees over the course of a number of years, not to mention all of the time that would have been put in the pretrial portion, as well as these attorneys being here for trial, some of whom were here from out of state, which, I mean, some people would say, oh, it's outrageous they bill for that. Again, Cardi B is very wealthy, and the wealthy people, when they know where they need to invest their money, and you need to
Yeah.
invest your money in the individuals who are going to take care of you. And if you can afford it, knock yourself out. Trust me, you ain't gonna hear Cardi complaining about her attorneys.
Exactly. Exactly. And like you make a good point. It might be in the long run, depending on if she has it, it might be better just to be like, okay, let me pay, half of it,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll go in bankruptcy for the other half. Like I'll pay what I need to and then just move on.
Because whatever the amount is, especially if it's 2, 3, 4 million, it doesn't have to be like 10, 12 million. Whatever the amount is, typically judges will do some measure of reduction. If not right then and there will be yet more motions and hearings and all of that stuff after the fact. I think so I think in that respect, the amount, 2, 3 million, I don't think it'll be out of line. I'm just dying to see what that legal bill looks like. Don't you want to see what the
Yeah,
law firm's bill looks like? Ooh, I want to see that.
Yeah, but just the way that they guilty of everything. I don't know why. I feel like they're gonna throw the book at her monetary wise. I think maybe she might even appeal to get the punitive lowered. Do you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I think that's
that's standard stuff. I mean,
yeah,
even if she was only ordered 500,000, she would still, get it lowered. I mean,
exactly.
why pay the whole of any judgment if somebody's willing to lower it for you? So,
Exactly.
you
So this,
know, I mean, when I do personal injury cases, somebody might have a bill for their medical, like their chiropractor bill for 10,000, but it's not really a high dollar case because, soft tissue injury. So they may only get like, 30, 40,000 in their final, we settle. Well,
yeah,
by the time we do my fees and then the medical, they're not going to get much. So of course I'm going to call everybody and try to negotiate. Okay,
yes.
because
So
if
they
I
have
do you
something.
10 and then I got to get my money, they're not going to get anything. So
Exactly.
that part is the name of the game as it relates to that. But she's not, now the lawyer fee, she's not going to get anywhere with that. Whatever, if whatever the attorneys submit, if when the court reviews the bill, the court feels that is legit, once they order that, I mean, that's it. That's it. That's the judgment on that. It's the other stuff that you have more of an opportunity in getting reduced. The third party vendors, lawyers, medical, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting. I think the medical is going to come down because, I mean, what's the odds that Cardi B doesn't have insurance? I mean, I think the medical will come down. I think that was just a round figure to encompass the
Yeah,
entire
that
thing, because
definitely
it
makes
sounds
sense.
like most of her medical was largely her psych bills. I don't think that there was ever any argument that there was anything physical. Not that, having emotional trauma couldn't give you physical ailments, but I just don't recall there being any arguments whatsoever about that. They mentioned her pregnancy, but they only mentioned that in terms of, again, the emotional trauma that she's gone through a pregnancy in the midst of dealing with all of that, which I would have argued too. But I don't think they mentioned that in terms of, oh, she needed additional medical care or, had preterm labor because of what happened to her. So,
Yeah.
so I think everybody agrees that number is going to come down because it sounds like it was just largely psych.
It was. Now, I just want to read a few super chats. Aaron Bernard Ransom said, new subscriber, and you're so here for this. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the family. We also have Lashina McGinnis, the ladies on Point Fashion and Brains.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Sharon.
Thanks.
Can they go after Tasha K for perjury? If so, who can bring those charges?
The government. I mean, she admitted to lying right there. Admitted to lying right there in court. So, so the judge can do that on their own motion because it's like contempt. So, but do I think they'll do it? Probably not. I think she just needs to make it out of the courthouse without pissing anybody off.
In one piece. Yeah,
exactly. Just don't piss anybody off on your way out the door.
Exactly.
Don't tell any lies while you're walking past the bailiff, something, because it doesn't seem like they can be in court and words come out of their mouths without some of them being lies.
That's true.
Was there a time that she took the stand where lies weren't involved? I don't think there was.
Every time she got on the stand, she lied.
And she made additional allegations. Let's not, forget that she said that Cardi worships the devil. You're on the stand making more allegations.
So listen, hold on. Let me get through these super chats. Jamila, thank you so much for the super sticker. We also have Shell saying, reports are out that the Kibes haven't paid personal or business taxes in 3 years. How can the court determine punitive damages without knowing income?
Well, I guess we'll see, because you're right.
To buy her house,
one
she
of the
claimed
things that
income
comes
on
into play.
something. Even if it's a lie, to buy her house, she claimed income on something because they buying their house. And I'm not saying she lied, but people lie when they get cars. They lie when they get houses. Tisa, we talked about that the other night.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And let me tell you, it's banks that will let it go through. So it's ways to find out. Because I'm going to tell you about the IRS. Anybody that's in the feds, they're going to find out.
They are.
Trust and believe. And honestly, it would really be beyond not in her best interest for her not to show up with anything. Even if, and this goes back to the previous person's question about income, even if they just came in with a simple income and expense statement, you had got to show up with something, because realistically speaking, you should have those prepared no matter what, so that you have them on hand, win or lose. But at the very least, she should, even if it's just a simple income and expense statement, you're not going to get away with telling the court that you have nothing. Now, worst case scenario, or I guess best case scenario for her, absent being found in contempt, they will, because obviously when the date was set for tomorrow, the judge told them what to bring. I mean, well, they know if you do this for a living, you know what you're supposed to bring. So, like I said, worst case scenario, if they don't have actual tax forms, as Lillie said, you can certainly prove your income in other ways. I've gone into many a divorce case, at least in our initial hearings, where we're just trying to get like some temporary support orders, maybe not the end game where the final judgment's made, but even just certainly on a temporary level, a lot of the times we're just working off of some simple income and expense statements, something you could literally pull up on your computer and put them in. Now, that being said, you certainly run a risk there, because the other side could look at that income and expense statement, especially if you decided to be cute about said income and expenses, and be like, yeah, this is a load of crap. You've got an app, you've got a Patreon, you've got 1 million people, a million whatever. They, and of course we know they've pulled their analytics. Come on. Again, they have people in their firms or in their respective offices, whether it's a young associate, an intern, a paralegal, whoever, it doesn't matter. But there is somebody on their side already calculating her income on Cardi's side based on information that any of us can get publicly, even if they base most of it on her YouTube, her place of residence, because you can figure out a lot about people. If somebody has an income that's published, say you're going against somebody from who's a school teacher. Well, we know that counties publish school teacher salaries. I pulled the school teacher salary in my county. Are they married? Okay, this person isn't married, so we're only worrying about their income. Do they have children? Okay, I'm going to count that. Where do they live? Okay, do they own or rent? Okay, what are mortgages and rents typically in that area? Take off for grocery. I can figure out what somebody should have in income and expenses. And Tasha, based on what appears, because obviously, everybody's got their other hustles, but based on what at least she holds out to the public as one of her primary means of supporting herself, is something that can easily be calculated, especially by an expert.
Okay, definitely. So let me just read these super chats. Princess Di said, happy to see you again, ladies. Johnda, we missed you yesterday. You ladies look fabulous while breaking this verdict all the way down. Beauty and brains. Latara Hawkins says, why would a lawyer take an appeal case for Tasha K after she admitted to lying in videos and lied on the stand? And then really quick, before you answer that, Sherry Townsend, welcome to the Tattle Tells. And we also have, okay, that's about all. So why don't you answer that as the last question? Why would a lawyer take that after she admitted lying on the stand?
Because she pays. And as I mean, that's the number one answer. And again, not to beat up any of my brethren, I'm very protective of my fellow barristers.
Yes.
But that's number one, obviously, because we work for a living like everybody else. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everything we do is out of the kindness of our hearts. I do enough pro bono, largely for my family. So anyway, but that's one. And two, because tacking on the fact of getting paid, you would be getting paid for something that isn't beyond the pale, right? Nobody could ever accuse you of stealing her money, because as we started out the initial discussion, there are some things that she can certainly appeal this case on. Now, whether or not whether or not the court will grant her a hearing, and subsequently, if she is granted a hearing, whether or not she will be successful, that's a whole other set of questions. But are there some appealable issues for her? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we know the counsel thing's going to be on there, but again, this is these types of cases, when people choose to appeal them, are ripe for appeals to at least argue about, because the standard is not only high, but somewhat subjective as well. So when you have a case with not only a high standard, but a somewhat subjective one, then it makes it, it gives you places to go if you are a skilled attorney and can, dash off a brief. And then, of course, the ineffective assistance arguments make themselves, because you've got an entire court record to attach to your appeal brief. So I don't see where this would be a problem with her getting an attorney willing to take her case. Now, that being said, she would pay what me and some other attorneys, see, I'm letting you all in on a secret. So some of my fellow attorneys might be angry at me, so I'm going to whisper it. It's called an a-hole fee. So it's an a-hole fee. It is the fee that we normally charge, with an additional surcharge when we meet you, spend some time with you, and realize that you're an asshole. So,
okay.
So your hourly rate might be slightly higher.
Okay. Well, listen, always be nice to the lawyers when you meet, like, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Aaron Bernard Ransom, thank you so much for joining the YouTube membership. Listen, you guys, this was a great conversation, but we will be on tomorrow at 8:00 because it's going to just be the thing. We're going to come on earlier. Lily's going to take center stage, and then Johnda's going to come on a little bit earlier because Lillie is going to break everything down with and also Lily's going to give us what you always do, right? You're going to give us the personal view, like how did everybody react? What was the mood? Watching Tasha K walk out, watching her walk in, and also what you heard in the jury instructions, because who needs court transcripts? We got Lillie. She'll be taking notes like the best notes in the world. So we'll have Lillie.
So many
right?
notes, y'all.
Yes,
honestly, everybody wants the transcripts, but there's a lot in the transcripts. I'm telling you that you wouldn't believe it, but you will. There's going to be a lot in there that would literally put you to sleep because the stenographer has to take down everything. I'm talking ahs, ums. If the person coughs, they have to say, blah 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 blah. She coughed. Blah 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 blah. Like it could really get tedious, especially if someone is stuttering, stumbling over their words. So it's not as exciting as people think it is. Now, with this case, there will be some stuff that's definitely going to be interesting, like the lie stuff. Of course, we're all going to be highlighting, because I want them too. We're all going to be highlighting where the lies were, because that stuff was just crazy.
Oh, you need to talk to Lillie. She gave a full list of where the lies were. Every lie, she was like, "That's a lie."
So she'll tell us what page to go to.
Yes, she literally
exhibit everyth I was writing exhibit
everything
down.
She was like, "Page exhibit 9, line 68." Did you not say? Lillie got notes
I love it.
on it.
But I'm gonna have better notes tomorrow, because that's gonna be the punitive
the
damages.
finale.
So I'm really gonna be tuned in on it tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's really great because honestly, people need a Lillie. I'm telling you, you got a whole hustle going on. You need to explore. For real.
You do
need a you. And I'm talking about attorneys, because not everybody can afford or has a firm with umpteen attorneys where they can have additional people sitting in court. Often, even like for me, when I had my firm and I was a sole practitioner, and it was a group of us sisters in the courthouse, several of us had our own firms, and we even shared a suite. I guess we could have been a reality show. And we even shared a suite together, although we were all separate firms. And so between us and like a few other attorneys that we trusted, we would have to be each other's eyes and ears in the courtroom. So if I'm sitting there at the table, we would always make sure that, and we still do, that others that we're close to know that we have a trial that day, especially if it's an important one, so that throughout the course of the day, anybody in between their cases that's a part of our crew will come in and listen, because then that's giving us the bead. I need to be paying attention to the testimony. Sometimes I've got a client that wants to be a little too engaged, that may want to whisper, they may want to write me notes. So I've got a lot. I have a lot going on. It's great to have that other person behind you, and not everybody can afford to have that full time. So
if y'all know any people, let me know, because I work for myself, so I'm free to go do whatever.
Look at Johnda.
I mean, hey, I'm all about a hustle. Look, I tell people in a minute,
too.
and Tisa knows, I say, if it's legal, I'm all about it. And I don't mean like legal as in the law. I mean, I'm not knocking nobody's hustle, no matter what it is.
As long as it's a legal hustle.
Nobody, what is it?
Exactly.
I'll support you.
So, well, definitely. Know anybody, let me know.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. We will be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Lily's going to come on earlier. It's going to be the grand finale. If there's any, I'll check the channel. I'll do, and on Lily's channel too. And Johnda, all their contact information, Instagram and channels are down in the description box.
Please make sure you go.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
I said thank you for putting the information.
Oh,
Yes,
you
and
also,
thank you, because
it's
people
in
have
every
been
video.
finding me on Instagram.
Me
They've
too.
been
I've been getting
mentioning
subscribers
they,
and stuff.
they've
Yeah.
been mentioning the show, so it's
I'm
definitely
glad
from
to
there.
hear
They're
that.
like, hey, I saw you on Tisa's show, so thank you.
Yes, please go and do that. Follow, subscribe, like, show them some love, and we will be on tomorrow. Again, it's going to be finale. I might pop on my page and Lillie will pop on her page and we get information in the afternoon, but we're still going to be here at 8 for Lillie to give a comprehensive breakdown. And of course, acclaimed attorney Just Johnda to also give a breakdown. Okay.
And
Thank
join
you
the podcast,
so
because I
much.
do pop on
See
there
y'all
randomly too.
tomorrow.
All right. Talk to
night,
you
you
guys
guys.
later.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.